York out this week?
Oh, I hugged him. I hugged him after the game. It's like, I love you. Happens like that sometimes.
Prepare for a team where the quarterback throws the ball 59 times in the previous game.
I don't think that's what they really want to do. I think they really want to establish the run game, and build their play action pass game off of that. Teams that throw the ball like that usually means they're behind. So I'm sure we'll see a little bit different game plan early, but I definitely don't think they want to throw the ball that much.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
How did you feel like Martin responded in his first regular season game?
I thought he played really well. There's a couple things there we had to tighten up in terms of his technique, but overall I didn't think the game was too big for him. I think the penalty, like he had the guy covered, it's like you have him covered. Why are you grabbing him? On the sideline. But it's just going through those things, just growing up, being in those situations.
Communications in the secondary. What leads to that, and why is it so prevalent around the league when it comes to that? They always say every time there is one, the safety is supposed to come over and help or whatever. But just what leads to that miscommunication, and how do you clean that up?
Yeah, I can't speak for anybody else, but it was something that we work on all the time. Just on that particular play, I don't know why there was miscommunication. The situation in the game, they were behind, so he felt like he had to throw the ball. That's why I made the call I made. We just have to play better. We have to communicate better, but we can't let those plays happen like that ever.
On that first one, Joe, where the tight end just releases down the left side.
Yeah.
I know Denzel was running on late, right?
Yeah.
Is that the reason that there was such a breakdown?
I take responsibility for that. That was my fault. They went for it, it was 3rd down and 2. They were in 12 personnel, so I put a certain package on the field, and then they changed the personnel group, but kind of got on the ball. So instead of just staying with the group that I had in there, I tried to change to a different personnel package, and I didn't really cleanly communicate that, or I didn't feel like I got the call across. So I told the guys, I said, that's my fault. So that plays on me.
Difficult. You guys played so well for so long, but I guess, did it drive home the point to your players that if you give up 2 bad plays, it can change the course of the game because you guys played well the rest of it?
Yeah, that's life in the NFL. I mean, it's 2 or 3 plays, and it always seems like the games go down to the last series. So you have to play really well, error-free, just to give yourself a chance. And I was happy the way we started. I thought everything we game planned went really well. But after that play with a bad substitution on my part, and then into the second half, there was just 2 or 3 plays we didn't execute well on, and then we got in that type of game.
Line batting down those passes, I assume that was an emphasis, but just the aggression they showed, is that kind of the style you want them to be every week?
Absolutely. I want those guys to be able to rush the passer, but there's, to me, certain things you have to do. Whether you pressure to try to create one-on-ones, whether you try to play coverage to try to get them to hold on to the ball. So we're trying to mix all those things. But I really feel good about our defensive line, and I feel like they're going to continue to grow and get better. But that was part of the game plan, is really trying to get our hands up and bat the ball down.
You mentioned that you take the fall for that one play, and then you see Baker coming back, and you know what was going into that game and what it would be like if you come home a loser in that game. Well, how are you feeling in the fourth quarter, personally?
I really focus on trying to stay calm during the game and trying to block out all the noise and don't let the circumstances of the game affect the decisions I'm trying to make. So after each series, I go down and I go through everything, but I get away from everybody because you're trying to get your thoughts together. And when things start going bad, you don't want to panic. You want to just make the adjustments within your game plan that the guys understand. And at some point, you'll make a play and get off the field. So, but I don't want to get into that emotional roller coaster situation mentally.
Afternoon for you at the end?
I don't want to say I'm used to it. It's happened a few times, but when a game gets close like that, you really just got to rely on the adjustments you made, speaking to different coaches, trying to put ourselves in good positions, but you don't want to panic, and you definitely don't want the players to see you panic. So I just really try to stay calm.
Grow as a coach, Joe? Early, maybe would have panicked earlier in your career, and now you learn not to, or were you always not a panicky guy?
I mean, honestly, you get tight sometimes. I'm not gonna lie about it. You know, you get tight sometimes, but at the end of the day, you got to trust the players. You got to trust the players, and you got to trust the calls that you make. And I think younger or earlier on in my career, it was just going through that experience, like the first time when I was at Denver. But as you learn, again, to trust the system, to trust your players, then you build more confidence. It makes it easier for you to make those calls.
See anything to Tatum Bryant after a tough roughing the passer call? I mean, we saw him across the league again. It's like,
Yeah. You know, I just said, hey, keep playing hard. You know, I don't, you know, they make the call, and obviously the weight came down on the quarterback, so we tried to correct that. But that's the nature of the game. Things like that are going to happen. But I just told them, hey, keep playing hard.
I know you guys practice that a lot about rolling off and not going off the quarterback, but it's just something like that.
Yeah, and that's part of the game. We just make sure that we show the things that we did really well in the game, and things that we need to improve. And those are one of the plays that we showed. So hopefully we make that correction. I'm just happy he was hitting the quarterback. Yeah.
Kind of go back to that passes for a second. I know Alex
Yeah.
got one. I mean, it seemed like he just kind of made the most of his time out there. What did you guys see from him, especially when you watched back that performance?
It was good. Thought he went in, executed well. We knew he was going to be part of the rotation. Didn't seem like the game was too big for him. You know, when he first got here, it was kind of like the wide-eyed look, you know, like this isn't UAB. But I think he's grown through that, and I think he'll continue to get better the more experience and the bigger games he plays in.
Is that like his willingness to ask questions? Because it seems like he's a guy who's not afraid to ask anybody any question, no matter how small the detail is.
He wants to be good. And, you know, you're sitting in the room with Miles and Clowney, you got two good guys to ask questions to. So I think he's a sponge. He's learned a lot from those guys. But these game situations now it's real. So I think he'll really develop, you know, at a higher rate.
There's so many questions about your defensive tackles going into this season. Just looked like they played really, really well, and you know, the run defense limiting McCaffrey the way they were able to.
Yeah, we did a good job. I mean, he saw a couple runs. You know, it was unfortunate the one run he had. He just picked it up, and I think JOK just shot the A gap because the ball was on the ground, and they ended up picking up and running the play. But overall, I felt like we did a good job. I know there was concern about our defensive line. I didn't have that concern because I really felt like the talent was there. I saw Jordan Elliott get better, Tommy Togiai get better. I know when Taven came out, he was very highly thought of. I just thought it was this time for those guys to work together, whether it's stunts, pass rush games, things of that nature. And I thought they played well.
Miles is a couple of sacks away from breaking the franchise record, and he's done it in a really few amount of games. Just how impressive is that production that he's had to begin his career?
In my time, it's really impressive because he's a talented player. You see it, and I said it last week. I mean, he looks like a tailback playing DN. It's freaky looking sometimes. Just the speed, his ability to bend off the edge. So we know teams are going to put a lot of protection towards him. So there's certain things we're trying to do in terms of defensive scheme, the ability for him to move around, to try to create some matchups to get him away from that. And we'll get better at that over time. But, you know, just everything he's been able to do, I think it's just speaks to who he is as a player and his mindset.
When you're up 20-7 late in the third quarter, are you thinking one more third down sack and it's over, or you didn't play back and keep everything in front of you?
No, you have to be smart in situations, but I want to make sure we run our defense. You know, because all our calls, they're built like not to give up big plays. You know, you hope with guys executing their technique, but I want to stay aggressive because, again, when you have guys like Miles, JOK, guys that can cover, I think you have the ability to be aggressive. We just didn't execute, you know.
Counter argument to playing back.
Yeah, I don't. There's times, like based on a situation where you play more coverage and you let your guys rush up front. So obviously we do that. But at the same time, I think with the mixture of calls we had, I feel like I could call anything in that game.
Johnson
is getting some of the heat for not providing Greg with the help on the 75-yarder, but is that necessarily the case that was John's thing?
No, it's just just the way we play in that coverage, just miscommunication. We cleaned it up, but it was nobody's fault in particular. It's just we gotta work together better in the back end on that particular play.
Your defense and the Jets' defense share DNA because you spent time with in San Francisco. Like, how similar do you view that? How much did you take from the group?
There's parts of our defense that are very similar, and I know there's different things they do because I talked to them. I talked to them about a week ago, but there's different things that they do, and there's different things that we do because I've pulled from different systems where I've been. But there is some carryover, which I know will help our offense just in terms of practice. And it's going to help us too, just because we know what they like to do at times.